Have you noticed it? It's not exactly physical exhaustion nor that simple drowsiness cured by a good rest. It's something unfathomable, a fatigue that seeps through your bones, hovering as soon as you open your eyes in the morning and lingering late at night even as you lie down staring at the ceiling. You feel like you're being devoured from the inside in silence, swallowing a sensation, perhaps of inadequacy, perhaps of dissatisfaction, that you can't even name. There is a kind of restlessness, an invisible hole that only seems to grow. And what if I told you that this hole is fed every day by your urge to be good? You never asked to carry the world on your shoulders. Yet somehow, here you are, masking your pain, smiling just so you won't worry those around you, smoothing the edges of tense rooms, trying to be the calming force that balances everything. You grew up hearing that good people are loved, respected, recognized, that it's enough to be honest, fair, and compassionate, and the universe will magically reward you sooner or later with a fair return for everything you offer. How many times have you heard, "The good always win in the end"? Maybe that's the most dangerous lie humanity has ever told itself. Look, I'm not advocating pure cynicism. I'm proposing something more uncomfortable. The possibility that your genuine goodness has been turned into a tool for domestication, an invisible code that binds you in a chain of obedience disguised as nobility. Ask yourself, how many times do you say yes when deep down your soul screams no? How many times do you swallow your pride, your tears, your boundaries, just to be accepted, to avoid disappointing someone, to preserve peace, even if it costs your own? And the most cruel part, how many of those people around you have noticed, repaid, thanked, or even realized the invisible effort you make not to disturb? Maybe you still believe the world pays back kindness with gratitude. But look around. Analyze with discomforting honesty. The people who truly stand out, who are heard, followed, respected, are they really the most righteous ones? Or are they those who learned how to make their presence inevitable, impossible to ignore, whether through courage, through strategy, or through deliberate harshness? The social universe does not reward those who give everything. It rewards those who know the value of their space, who set clear boundaries and negotiate. Behind society's facade of harmony and respect, another logic rules, and it's a dark one. Your desire to please, not to cause waves, has made you predictable, and predictability kills respect. What is constant, what never resists, becomes part of the scenery, useful but never indispensable. Have you felt this? The feeling of being a stepping stone for someone to rise, and then being forgotten? The silent pain of realizing your convenient kindness is only appreciated until it serves others, but is never seen as strength, merely as a lack of risk. Maybe now is the time to confront what you dread most. Kindness, when blind and fueled by fear, is not virtue. It is surrender. And society knows this. Since you were small, your docility was rewarded. But the bill comes due in the silence of the tired, invisible, submissive adult, burning quietly with resentment. All the people you never disappointed, the conflicts you avoided, each gesture of "it is all fine," when inside it was anything but. Where did all that go? It didn't disappear. It's inside you, accumulating as a debt unpaid. Maybe your goodness today is actually a dark grave where you bury your authenticity. What no one tells you is that this suffocating need to please was never born from love, but from a much deeper root. Fear. Fear of rejection, of abandonment, of being seen as insufficient. Yet the price for living through this fear was never freedom. It was never respect. It was never love. It is slavery wearing velvet gloves. You smile on the surface, but inside you distance yourself from yourself a little more with every forced yes, every swallowed resentment. But what if there's another path? What if the answer isn't about being good or bad, but about being whole? Look again, how many good people do you know who are truly loved, and how many are just tolerated? How many have sacrificed everything, only to find themselves in the end discarded or replaced by another more convenient, good boy or girl? If you dare to remove the childish glasses of hope, The world is not moved by morality, but by interest. And those who give everything without ever demanding are not seen as noble. They are merely seen as available. It's not malice. It's pure social biology, pure survival dynamics. You grew up thinking it is wrong to be tough, that confrontation is ugly, that imposing boundaries is selfish. You learned to value obedience, gentleness, unconditional compassion. But secretly, you never realized that much of this emotional education wasn't meant for your real flourishing. It was a manual written, at least in part, for your docility, so that you would play the role others needed, not the one you truly wanted. And now grown up, you see that the reward for so much self-erasure is invisibility. You didn't disappear because of a lack of value, but because you never learned how much you were truly worth. Awaken. Wake from the social trance that tries to transform kindness into a sweetened leash. There's an almost cosmic difference between being good and being submissive. The submissive lives always adapting, smiling while everything inside begs to scream, agreeing when everything inside shouts discord, surrendering when every fiber of their being pleads for transformation. And the scariest part? In time, you yourself forget who you really are, what you really want, sacrificed on the sacred altar of acceptance. The greatest illusion is believing that virtue is about never causing inconvenience. That integrity means being unwaveringly agreeable. This self-deceit is a prison decorated with hollow compliments. If you search inside your own story, you'll likely find your deepest wounds didn't come from confrontation but from self-silencing. And maybe it still hurts to admit, you gave everything, and in the end, your hands were empty, because you never learned to be generous first to yourself. The crucial step is abandoning the imposed role, tearing off the suffocating mask of permanent agreement. It's not about becoming cold, insensitive, or scheming. It's about relearning to be whole. The world, despite the fairy tales, has always respected those who set their limits, who make themselves necessary, who do not readily surrender their ground. Kindness is only a virtue when it is born from lucid choice, not from fear. The real raw world respects those who demand respect. Imagine for an instant, if you decided to live, finally to live, from your own truth, not from the uniformity expected of you. To stop apologizing for who you are, to stop asking for permission to exist, to stop bargaining away your value, bit by bit, hoping someone will return it as affection for all you gave in silence. Yes, it's painful. Waking up hurts. Letting go of the nice role you worked so hard to perfect can even feel like betrayal, but it's actually the rebirth of your authenticity. Remember, there's no automatic justice. There is no benevolent destiny waiting for you on the other side of endless, unrewarded sacrifice. All there is your dignity being rebuilt, one step at a time, with each choice that honors what you truly need, feel, and desire. Whether through the existential lens or the brutal angle of social theory, submission was never a virtue. At best, it was an invitation for others to draw the boundaries of your territory, sculpt the limits of your dreams, dictate how much you're allowed to be. What happens when you finally decide to stop being everyone's emotional cushion? The ground shakes. Those who are used to leaning on your shoulders will feel uncomfortable, irritated, call you selfish, or ask, "Why have you changed so much?" Prepare for it, because when you challenge an old role, you threaten not only your own comfort, but especially the comfort of those who always benefited from your silence. And ironically, it is exactly then that you start to be noticed. When your voice stops being a pleasant echo and starts to express your own truths, you become someone, not just a useful shadow. You realize that by standing up, by laying down inflexible boundaries, some people drift away, but no one steps on you anymore. Even with criticism, distancing, or emotional manipulation, a strange form of respect emerges, the kind that's only born where confrontation is a real possibility. This is the true existential rupture, the break from the vicious cycle of being good at all costs to begin an adult relationship with the world. You stop begging for validation and begin experiencing the raw but liberating solitude of being whole. And over time, you discover something unsettling. few remain. But the ones who do, they're genuine. They see you as you truly are, far beyond the old role you performed. Relationships, friendships, family, everything shifts when you refuse to be a doormat. The price is rejection by the false ones. The reward is the respect of the authentic. Of course, you will face an internal struggle. With every no you utter, there will be an ancestral fear of losing love, of being discarded. That inner voice will remind you that being good feels safer, but gradually you'll learn that love can be begged for, and dignity can never be negotiated. Your life is no longer made up of endless concessions. It transforms into a space for authenticity, even if it costs the approval of those who only liked you for your convenience. Strategy does not ask you to be cruel. It asks for the courage to endure what needs to hurt, to stand the initial loneliness that comes with breaking the mold of always being available. It is this pain that reunites you with your true self, that pushes away emotional parasites, that makes you feel again, not merely exist for others. The deep existential path is not the law of the jungle, but the fire of clarity that incinerates your childish illusions about automatic justice and hands your name back to your own story. Look closely. The most respected people aren't those who always please, but those who provoke, those whose presence is enough to cause discomfort when necessary, who have the pride to refuse emotional crumbs. They have chosen to be the source, not the drain. Source of their own dignity and boundaries, not a well of approval for others. Don't be deceived. True kindness only begins where self-annihilation ends. Real compassion only exists when you include yourself, not when you erase yourself. This is revolutionary. You finally become an agent in your own life, not a background character in someone else's script. The energy you once poured into self-sacrifice now fuels your own dreams, your own existence. A new ethic arises, one not of servility, but of balance, mutual respect, and authenticity. Being authentic is risky, but being invisible is far worse. On one side, the endless hunger for acceptance condemns you to the same old role. Predictable, conflict-free, peripheral. On the other, the courage to upset, to break expectations, to even lose relationships, brings loneliness, yes, but also the rare truth of an authentic life. Only those willing to risk rejection can discover the real extent of their ability to belong. You were programmed to crave the love of others. But what if now you learned to crave your own respect? And more than that, what if you turned your own life into a silent protest against being used, manipulated, compared, the forever pattern of pleasing and then being forgotten? The world isn't waiting for another nice guy. The world stops and listens and respects those who say enough, who take a stand, who refuse to bargain away their dignity for cheap acceptance. Be strategic in your kindness. Give yourself, yes, but never to those who demand, and never to those who don't reciprocate. There's no shame in being a bridge, as long as you know where your territory begins and ends. Kindness with no boundaries is self-abandonment. Every real virtue, to be true, must include self-protection. Don't forget your tears won't save anyone. Your sacrifice merely feeds emotional predators. Your absence of boundaries is not a sign of a pure heart. It asks an invitation to abuse. The awakening begins with simple, devastating questions. How many years of your life have you lost trying to be accepted? How many opportunities have you missed? How many loves have you never truly lived? How many talents have you hidden out of fear of upsetting someone, of being rejected, of being labeled difficult? You're waiting for the world to thank you for your docility, but human nature works in another currency, respect. And respect only grows out of confrontation, of clarity, of limits. Recognize it. The journey toward authenticity is arduous. It takes courage to lose cheap applause, to face the terror of being seen unmasked, to endure the eyes of the conformist's disapproval. But it's in this abyss of uncertainty that you finally find your own voice, that you commit not to the myth of total goodness, but to the deep, troubling, and revolutionary act of being whole with yourself. So, make no mistake, the compliments you get for never upsetting anyone are only cheers for your chains. The greatest irony of existence is that the world always finds room for someone strong enough to be honest. People like this aren't just admired, they inspire awe. And in moments of crisis, these are the people the group seeks out, who move the pieces on the board. There is indeed a middle ground between cold cynicism and naive meekness. But it doesn't lie in words, it is forged in actions, the radical act of choosing yourself every single day. Reflection is not enough, you must act. The deep path isn't comfortable, but it's the only one worth walking. Now, here's an invitation, not just to think, but to transform. When was the last time you chose your truth, even if it meant losing someone's affection? When was the last time you said no without guilt, made a decision without asking for permission, looked in the mirror, and valued your integrity above your desire to be loved? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be the battle cry that frees someone else from their invisible cage. If this video disturbed you, frightened you, or woke you up, perhaps that is the best thing that could have happened. Continue your journey. Watch the next episode and discover how to align your existential field with the courage to be who you were born to be, not who the world expects you to be. In the end, there's only one real prison, the one you built around your need to please. And there is only one true freedom, to look at the world for the very first time and realize you no longer need permission just to exist. Your choice begins now. Will you remain invisible, or will you finally become the author of your own destiny?